Good morning, FlossTube. It is almost 8:30 on August 22nd, Saturday morning. I'm going to try to keep this down for a couple reasons. I've been really sick the last couple days, so my throat was really sore. I was really congested, so I don't want to irritate any of that and bring it back full force. I'm feeling a little bit better this morning, and also my daughter is still sleeping. So I'm going to try to get this done before she wakes up. I have a few things I want to talk about on this particular video. My current WIP, which you will see there, I'll bring it down a little bit later. The first thing I wanted to do, though, was I found, who was it? Oh, what was that? I subscribed to a FlossTuber the other day. Yes, Jessie Marie does stuff. Hi, Jessie Marie. And she did a shout out on one of her recent videos, and I think that's fantastic. Now, if someone else has done shout outs before, I'm sorry, this is the first time I've seen it. So, the credit for the first time I saw it goes to her. And I think that's great, and especially with the issues that some of our fellow FlossTubers have been dealing with bullying. Shout outs give kind of a warm fuzzy to those FlossTubers who might need it, It's just a way that you can choose to say, hey, I watch you, and I think you're really cool, and I just wanted to say that. We all leave comments for each other, complimenting on this, that, and the other thing, and we all, are on a lot of Facebook groups together, so we, give each other encouragement that way, and there's so much encouragement in this community. It's fantastic. It's done wonders for me, I know for sure. But to specifically in a FlossTube video shout out to another FlossTuber or someone else on a Facebook could only help us to grow as a tighter community. So, that being said, sorry, I'm going to sniffle a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to edit it out later or not. I might, if it gets really bad or if I start sneezing again. So I think my first shout out is going to be Michaela at MN Chaos. Hi, Michaela. We started FlossTube very shortly, one after the other. I think you still have surpassed me on number of videos, but that's okay. Who's competitive? Not me. But I love seeing the things you do. Your puppies are adorable. I have a big puppy. You have little puppies. It's cute. Also, public service announcement. I am on many cold and flu remedies right now, and so maybe a little loopy. It's okay though. Yeah, I think your videos are great. You jump right into the FlossTube community and you just hit the ground running. Your projects are fantastic. I love your Hade that you're doing. It's amazing. Yeah, so that's my shout out to Michaela. If you haven't seen Michaela, her FlossTube channel is M as in Mary, N as in Nancy, Chaos. And she's great. And see, she recently put out yesterday a tag of her own, which I have been wanting to do a tag of my own, but I haven't gotten around to figuring out questions that everyone hasn't already answered, because I don't want to be a pain and ask questions that people have already answered. So I'm trying to figure out a list of my own questions. But hers is very interesting, so I thought I would do it. And that's the main reason I'm doing this video today, is to do her tag. But I think before I do my tag, sorry about that. But I think before I do my tag, I am going to show you my WIP. Now, like I said, I got sick a couple days ago, so I haven't really worked on him in a couple days. So I'm not going to take off the plastic. You can see them through the plastic. There you go. I gotta get it back there. Oh well, you know what he looks like. I've been posting pictures of him on Facebook. So if you're on Stitch Mania, why do I keep trying? Okay, there we go. I just had to move back out of the picture. So yes, this is, as many people know, my stitching out stigma piece I am doing and working on, which is going to be an answer and a question coming up. In Michaela's tag, the Chaos tag. Love the name, the Chaos tag. I'm a bit of a believer in chaos theory. Yeah, he's coming along pretty good. I almost am done the tail. Down to here, I think it goes to back there. I have like 5 more rows of the tail before it connects to the body. So yeah, but this filling this in. Each row here, I counted, coming up, each row is 69 stitches long. Or 68 stitches long, sorry. And there's 9 rows of them. 9 rows of 68 stitches. I could do the math right now. 9 times 6. 540 stitches. Yes. So this next chunk, and it's all in a big rectangle. So this next chunk is, 540 stitches. I could do about a row in about 30 to 45 minutes, I think. So it's not that bad because it's all one color. It's no changes, so it goes pretty quickly in that sense. But I am happy with the amount I've done. I've fully used up 1 skein so far of Mauve's Mosale Vision, and I really like the amount of coverage I got. So I think I will be absolutely fine with the 4 skeins I have, barring not having to frog anything. If I have to frog something, then I'm host. But I think my throat's going a little bit fuzzy, so let's get on to the chaos tag, or chaotic tag, sorry, by Michaela. What is your culture / heritage? Where are your ancestors from? What foods did you grow up eating? Did you grow up with a particular set of beliefs and traditions? Okay, so I have 2 answers to this question. I was adopted at birth. Well, I was adopted when I was about a 2-month-old infant, but I was given up for adoption at birth. And this was on the island of Newfoundland, or Newfoundland, as other people would say. And I was adopted by a couple who lived in Labrador, in a little town called Labrador City. Now, if you don't know where Labrador is, it is the eastern northern part of Canada. It's the mainland part of Newfoundland, and it's attached to the eastern side of Quebec, the province of Quebec. So we live right on the border of Labrador and Quebec. There were 3 little towns all together. The only reason they were there because of iron ore mines, and both my parents worked there, my adopted parents, and but neither of them were from there. So basically my genetic culture, I have no idea. I don't know what I'm a mix of. We suspect I have some First Nations in me somewhere, especially when I was younger. I looked very, very First Nations, and so there's that, but I don't know anything of the heritage of my parents. I mean, it's Newfoundland, so possibly Irish. Yeah, and this is in the early 80s. So, my adopted parents' culture, my mom was French Canadian from Quebec, and she was raised in a big Roman Catholic family. And my dad was from England. He immigrated to Canada for teaching. And my mom was working in Labrador City as well. I think she was substitute teaching then, but then she ended up being a school secretary of my elementary school and then my high school growing up. So both my parents were in teaching. My dad ended up moving to like other stuff, but so my culture was very much white Roman Catholic. I think my dad was Anglican, but he converted to Roman Catholicism. But it was a very both my parents are extremely open-minded, so it was a very liberal Roman Catholic upbringing in some ways, and extremely conservative in other ways. We're not going to go too much into that. So yeah, our culture and food and stuff was all just mostly, just meat and potato stuff. My dad made a mean Yorkshire pudding. He grew up in Yorkshire. He would make a roast beef and Yorkshire pudding. Oh, so yummy. My mom did a lot of French Canadian cooking. So there was tortilla, baked beans, just a lot of meat and potato kind of dishes at home. Although my dad had a bit of a spicy, he liked spicy food, so sometimes he would make a curry or Indian food. So yeah, basically a melting pot of different kind of foods, I guess. Yeah, so that's my culture. It's not very exciting. I'm Canadian, basically. Many generations Canadian. Probably. I'm not very sure, but probably. Okay, what's the next question? I put it over here. Excuse me. It does that. Do you make an effort to pass on the culture you grew up? Are you part of any counterculture, or are you more of an individualist? My daughter knows French. She's currently enrolled in French school here in Toronto. For the first 4 or 5 years of her life, she only spoke English, and then in grade 1, she started French only school. So it was a little tough at first, but she picked it up really quickly. So she's bilingual as well now, which is probably the best thing I could do for her, because I know in Canada especially, being bilingual is such an asset when it comes down the line for employment. It's almost necessary. So yeah. The Catholicism, I'm a bit of a lapsed Catholic. My daughter is not baptized. I always said that I would let her choose her own religious path instead of indoctrinating her in one in the beginning. So, although the French school that she went to for a few years was a Catholic French school, just because it was the closest French school to me at the time, and it was good, but she never went through the baptism or the first communion or anything like that, because she was not baptized. So, but they still accept her anyway. Counterculture, though, I used to be very goth in my dress, but it wasn't. I wasn't into like the goth culture, so I was more into the look. The counterculture I really embrace, though, is geekdom of all shapes and sizes. I am a geek at heart. I love gaming. I love all fandoms, anime, sci-fi, fantasy. I'm a full-on geek and proud. So yes, I do very much embrace my countercultures. Okay, so number 3. Is there a social issue / cause you're passionate about, whether it be about education, health, the military, human rights, etc.? Yes, I am very passionate about several things. Right now, specifically, as you can see with my Stitching Out Stigma, I am really starting to not be an activist because I don't think I have the drive to actually be an activist for anything, but to really speak out about my own personal struggles with mental health issues. And it's something that's been kept quiet for so long. You don't talk about people who deal with mental health issues. You don't. You just kind of like, oh, they're just like that. Let's just forget how they are because we don't really feel comfortable around them because of the way they are. Sorry, I hear noises. I hope it's only Andrew, my boyfriend, right now. It might be my daughter. Okay, she's still sleeping. I managed to close her door. Hopefully she will stay sleeping until I'm done. Um, if you're just finding my videos or you don't know this, my daughter is 12 years old and she's a little bit obsessed with FlossTube, YouTube. She's a little bit obsessed with YouTube and YouTubers, and has already wanted to make her own videos. But as a mother, I'm not comfortable with my 12-year-old making videos of herself. Especially with all the bullying that the many people out there. So I'd rather just keep her off this. Unfortunately, she wants to do everything I do. So, yeah, if she saw me making these videos, she would immediately want to make her own. Say what you will about my parenting. I don't really care. But I just, it's better if she doesn't know that I'm making these. Also, I'm saying stuff in these videos I really don't want her knowing about. So I'd rather, you know, maybe her and these videos, because it is like a diary of me sometimes. And I want to be able to express myself in ways that I don't have to censor myself. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. And of course, the cat is decided to make as much noise as she possibly can. She's mad because I locked her out of my daughter's room. So back to the chaotic tag. Yes, if I do stitch for number 3, I do stitch. I for awareness. And I do try to promote mental health awareness, also invisible diseases awareness, because it's not cool being told, well, you look fine, when inside you're in turmoil. So those are pretty much the social causes. I don't know if I would call myself a feminist. I definitely think feminism is needed. I'm more of an equalist. I just want anyone of any gender to be treated like an equal human being in all ways. That's what I want. I'm a bit of a pacifist. Actually, I'm a lot of a pacifist. I don't believe in war as a solution to anything. So, yeah. Do you have a favorite style or aesthetic? Well, I have a very eclectic group of things that I find visually pleasing to me. Like I previously said, I'm a bit of a sci-fi and fantasy nut. So a lot of the fantasy dragons, unicorns, that kind of stuff I love. One day I'm going to show you my dragon and my griffin. And I have these kind of like posable sculptures. Well, one of them posable sculpture, the other is kind of puppet. and they're a big part of my fantasy collection. Actually, you know what? Forget that. I'm gonna do it right now. They're back. Okay, I'm back, and I have my little friend. Um, I have not named this one, but it is. You can see it's kind of like a puppet. It has a hard body and a hard molded head, and most of the what's keeping it together is this fur. I think it's faux fur though, and there's big feathers on the back to make its wings. And you can also see he has back legs. It's currently attached to my shoulder. It has very strong underneath the body magnets, and there's a metal plate that's attachable and you can put underneath your clothes so that they ride comfortably. But here's the fun part. It's also a puppet. I haven't played with him in a while, so the movements are a little stiff. Oh, there you go. That's a little better. But yeah, this is all it is. That's the control. See? You push it in for up and down, and you turn it so they can rotate. I got him at Fan Expo a few years ago. I'm not going to tell you how much I paid for him. They had many different ones. They had cats, they had horses, unicorns, Pegasus, dragons. And you'd think I would get the dragon, but the ones they had that year, the dragons just were not calling to me. The fur was not a real kind of fur. Anyway, so this is my griffin, who I love very much. And this one is a lot older. This one, oh, I didn't even notice. You saw her little tail peeking out. This is my fire lizard. Now, I don't know how many other fantasy readers out there, or actually, it's a sci-fi book. Why did I say fantasy? I know it's a sci-fi book. Okay, stay. The Dragon Riders of Pern by Anne McCaffrey was one of my obsessions as a kid, and I found her books in our library and I read them. And in the late 90s, I found online, of all places, this lady who was selling these. They're called soft sculptures because they are soft bodied, but they're all armatured. We'll see. And she was selling these, and they're fire lizards, which are basically little personal dragons in the Dragon Rider of Pern series. I love her little fingers. And she's a gold fire lizard because they're the biggest fire lizards and the queens. Yay! But yeah, she's pretty. Look at her eye. It's all faceted and pretty. And all this is all done with stitching. It's freaking amazing. Unfortunately, the person who was making this thought she legitimately had, and I've seen pictures of the lady who made these. I'm not going to say her name because she did get a cease and desist from Anne McCaffrey. So I'm not going to, pull her good name into the mud or anything. But fantastic work, absolutely beautiful. The only thing, she was in storage for a long time, and her the wire right here broke. So this wing is kind of useless. But I've always felt like maybe I can make a little sling for her, like she really had a broken wing. But yeah, so these two end up perched on my, these two guys are perched in my dining room on a very tall unit, like a display unit that I have there. So this kind of helps you idealize the aesthetic I go for. It's there are little bits and bobs like this all over. Although my apartment is not currently actually decorated because of various things. We moved in here about 3 years ago, and my health took a turn for the worst almost as soon as we moved in. And so we never really fully moved into anything. So there are still boxes everywhere, and it's not quite pleasant, but we're getting there. But these are my little bit of decoration that I have, are these guys, which I love. They're very, very precious to me, both of them. I'm going to go put them away now, or else I'm just going to play with them for the rest of the time, and I'll be right back. Okay, so yes, my preferred aesthetic is geek chic everywhere. Um, bookcases full of board games, um, dragons on every surface. I have many dragons. You've just seen, that's my first I've shown you of my dragon collection. I have pewter figurines, I have puzzles, I have plushes, I have dragons, everything. Some jewelry. Yeah, lots of dragons. So yeah, my design aesthetic, but I also have other design things that I like. I really love ancient Egyptian art, or ancient Egyptian inspired art. There are a couple of, there are a couple of Egyptian patterns. I think Katie's Stash Queen, hi Katie, mentioned these. Sorry, I just took a drink and I can't keep from hiccuping. And she talked about the Egyptian mandala from Shoutout, and that's the one I've had my eye on the most. There's also a really cool Teresa Wensler. Anyway, I'm moving ahead of myself, so that's question number 5. So yes, my aesthetic would be geek chic. I think I'm going to call it geek chic. It is all about the geekiness on every surface I can get. And that comes to, other than that, I'm a fan of, in furniture, very modern with some retro. I really like, I'm watching Mad Men, and I love the 70s deco style. So if there was actually just like a real aesthetic style that really drew me in, it would probably be deco, and then the deco renaissance that we saw in the 70s as well. So the deco. Okay, now I think I'm on number 5. Do you somehow incorporate any of your above 4 answers into the choice of patterns you choose to stitch / design? If yes, how do you incorporate them? If no, would or wouldn't you want to? Why or why not? Phew, and your questions, Michaela. Yes, and yes, and yes, and yes, and yes. I have stitched many geeky things. My first huge project, as you guys have seen, was my Hogwarts crest that I finished, which I'm really proud of. I've stitched anything from anime characters to dragons to the small one I'm working on that's, a gaming one, retro gamer design that I'm working on, my, Sailor Moon. So yes, I do incorporate my geek chic into my stitching for sure, and the design as well. I mean, I designed this one, not as flashy or as complicated as some designs, but I'm getting there. I've designed a few things on my own, and it's all been kind of geeky. Basically, a lot of requests on Reddit. People come on Reddit and be like, hey, turn this picture into a pattern for me, please. And obviously, if it's, copyrighted or whatever, I can't ask for any money. I just do it for free. And, but it's always under the impression that the people are only going to stitch it for themselves. They're not going to try to make money off of it. So, as many, I might get a little backlash off this, but as I know there's this whole thing about copyright going around, and people are like, real stitchers don't steal, and that's all well and good, but the way I understand it, as long as you're creating a pattern for yourself, for your own consumption, there's not much they can do about it. You're not selling it, you're not making money off of it, there's nothing much you can do about it. If you're creating free patterns to share with other people, not much you can do about it, especially if those patterns are based off of fan art that is based off of the original art. You know, I mean, it's just creating fan art. That's how I see it. It's fan art and stitching, and I have no problem doing that for myself. I would never sell those patterns if I create a pattern off of someone's fan art, and usually if I would create something off someone's fan art, I would try to find them and ask them if that's cool. But yeah, I do so, and I'm going to continue to do so. And if I lose subscribers because of that, it's okay. Because we all have our own limits as to what we will do or not do, and that's a personal choice to make, and people have to live with those consequences. So I'm not going to judge anyone else for what they choose to do, unless it's like really, really, really illegal, like copying things and selling them, and then that's obviously very wrong. But yeah, so yes, my aesthetic falls into my, how many dragons am I? How many fantasy things am I thinking of stitching? Yeah, I'm trying to think of any. No, I have my Doctor Who stitch right now. I'm trying to think of my current WIPs. So I have my Doctor Who stitch, which is definitely a geeky stitch. I have my Sailor Moon. I have Stitching Out Stigma. I have. Well, I guess when I have the Storytime Sampler. Yeah, so basically the Storytime Sampler that I'm doing is the only one that isn't a geeky, and that's even geeky because it's books that I like and stories that I really like. So that's kind of relevant there. So yeah, yes, I guess my aesthetic really does influence my stitching a lot. If you were to stitch a person, who would it be? Interesting question. If I were to stitch a person, who would it be? I'm trying to think. Like I don't really like. I mean, I've seen a lot of the portrait stitches out there, and they're great for the people who do them. But I find they already. You know what? I'd probably do like my daughter. I'd probably do a picture of my daughter. I think I could see myself stitching a picture of my daughter, a really cute one. There's a few that she had when she was younger, where she was just wonderful pictures I've had of her. So probably, yeah, I'd probably end up doing a picture of her, I think. Do you know of a little known designer that you would like to let us know about? Well, I don't know any little known designers. I don't think so. There's one. I've talked about her before, so I guess I could. Yeah, Robin from Robin's Designs on Etsy. She's the one who does the 3D stitching. Oh, here we go. I have an amazing. She posted a video of her putting together one of her Doctor Who dolls. I think it was the 6th Doctor. Recently, I will put that link in the description below. Go check it out. It's really neat. You'll see how it all comes together, and choose for yourself if you want to do. I know there's some Whovians out there. Katie, I'm looking at you. Who I think would really like the challenge of doing one of her Doctor Who's, one of her doctors. Oh, blasphemy! I call them Doctor Who. Sorry. So yeah, so Robin from Robin's Designs. Go check out the video. It's really freaking cool. Yeah, so everyone should do a 3D design, I think. What direction do you lay your top cross? Is there a reason for that? No. When I started doing cross stitch again last fall, it was August, September, when I did my Sailor Jupiter for the Sailor Moon Exchange on Reddit. gifts. I sorry. That's when I was looking up tips for making it better. And when I started stitching, I had stitched a couple rows and looked up a couple of tips, and the one tip that stuck out was make sure all of your things lay the same way. So I looked at how the things were laying now, and I just continued doing it that way. And it was the lower one is top left to bottom right, and the top stitch is top right to lower left. And that's how I stitch, which is going to be very difficult because the Stitching George Washington, for a sake of cohesiveness and making sure everyone's laying the same way, they have said that the stitches have to lay, the top stitch has to lay from top left to bottom right, the top stitch. And I'm used to that being the bottom stitch. So it might take me a few tries. I might try to turn it 90-degree angle, but that might be difficult because the shape of it's a long rectangle. So I wanted to get, a scroll frame about the same width of it, and wrap up the bottom at the top. So hopefully I'll be able to just change it for that one, but who knows, I might end up changing it for all of them afterwards. But there are a few that I need to make sure I could complete the right way. So what's next? Are there any rules? I love that. Rules or popular methods you don't follow in cross stitch? Why? Well, that's an interesting question. I'm not much of a rebel. I don't think there's any rules I'm really breaking in my cross stitching. I might stitch with a little bit too long of a floss. I don't like changing out my floss too much. I like to just keep going as long as I can, so I usually use as long a piece as I can work with. But I know they usually tell you to do shorter pieces. Thread Heaven I don't always use. I find on some things it makes it worse. It makes the fraying worse. Maybe I'm just not using it correctly. So, yeah, I don't think I'm a rule breaker. Well, I'm not cross stitch anyway. And I believe the last question: if someone were to find your FFOs or WIP pile in 100 years when you're long gone, what might they say, think about you? This woman cannot finish anything. No, I'm kidding. Currently, if I were to meet an untimely demise tomorrow, my current WIP at FFOs would be pretty much, this woman can't finish anything, because I haven't finished anything in weeks, maybe a month. And in 100 years, I don't know. I think it would be, I don't know. I'd hope my daughter keeps all my stuff and passes it on. I hope it'd be like a family heirloom, and my great-great-grandchildren, many years in the future, open it and look at it, and it's like, oh, all the work that she put in. Yeah, I hope that's what they do, but I don't know what it would say about me. And I'm a bigger geek than anyone thought, I guess. Yeah, so that is the Chaotic tag by MN Chaos. Thank you, Michaela, for that tag. It was fantastic. I had a lot of fun answering all the questions. I don't think there's anything left I have to talk about. I did the shout out, which I want to encourage everyone out there to pick a FlossTuber, maybe one who doesn't have as many subscribers, and shout out. Give them a shout out, give them a boost. Tell them, let people know that this FlossTuber is out there and they have great stuff to share with our community. So I think I'm going to say goodbye because I feel my sniffles coming back, and I don't want to, you guys have to endure my sniffling any longer. So I think that's it for me. I will hopefully be back in a few days. You lucky people in the US, my daughter does not go back to school until after Labor Day. You guys are so lucky. Yeah, so I don't know when I'm going to be doing another video, but yeah, I think that's it. Sorry if I was a little loopy. Um, I claim innocence by intoxication. Maybe not intoxication, but definitely medication. Okay, I'm just gonna go because apparently I can't stop talking now. So have a good stitchy day, everyone.